Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to a North Wales side-by-side video. Two things I'm going to show you in this video today. My car's been parked up since about 11 o'clock last night. It's now, what, 12:30 on whatever day of the week it is. It's Tuesday the 16th. So I'm going to put the top-down battery tester onto the 12-volt battery whilst it's been stood overnight, and we'll check the battery. And then if the battery needs charging, if the tester tells me it needs charging, I'll put my big battery charger on it and I'll leave it charging outside. And then I'm coming into the workshop where I am now, and I'm going to make a loom up for the battery. So I've got a plug in the car, so I can put this little device, which is a battery maintenance charger, and connect it to the car. And then I'll show you the battery maintenance charger working and show you what it does. And I'll show you the installation and I'll show you it plugged in. So that's what we're up to today. Something really simple and something any of you can actually make up yourself. So enjoy the video. Thank you for watching. Oh, hello and welcome to a North Wales side-by-side video. I've been promising this video for a little while, and it's the first decent day I've had to come and get the 12-volt battery on my Yaris GR Sport. And it's found under the seat, under here. You do have to remove this panel. There's a couple of little poppers you've got to take out, and then it just comes off. So there's two battery hold down bolts, one here, one here. I'm just going to crack them loose to gain access to the positive terminal so I can just slide the battery out, and then we'll put the top down battery tester onto this 12-volt battery. So let me just get the hold down cables off and we'll set it up and we'll test my battery that's 16 months old with 27 and a bit thousand miles on it. So let me get them off, get the battery out, and I'll show you the test. Right, I've gained access to the battery now. The only clamp you have to take off is the one in the here, which clamps in the middle. I've got the negative terminal off, and I've gained access to the positive, which is under this protective cover, but you have to pull the battery out to get access to it. So let me get the battery tester on her. I'll put the battery tester on the seat and we'll run the test. Okay, battery tester is on. I want to check. We'll go 12.55 volts in the battery. So we're going to go enter for battery test. It's a regular flooded battery. It's an EN. It's only a little 300 amp hour battery. So we'll test it now and see what it comes back as. And that's come back at saying good but needs charging. This battery's done 27,000 miles and we've got 257 amps in the battery. It's got about 3/4 of its life left. So it's still a good battery, but I'm going to put it on charge now and test it again afterwards. What I am going to do, whilst I've got access to the battery, I'm going to make myself a loom up, because I've got access to all the terminals at the moment, I'm going to make a charging port up for the battery with a plug on it. So I'm going to come off positive, I'm going to come off negative, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Here's the charger we use for the hybrid cars. And on the end of it is a female plug. And there's my extension cord. So I can leave the charger in the garage, run the extension cord to the car. I'm now going to make up a version of that with rings on one side to go on the battery and the opposite plug to that and that, so I can put the charger on my car. I'll go up to the bench now and I'll show you all the bits I've got. Right, the battery's on charge. Whilst it's on charge, I'm going to make the charging adapter lead to use the trickle charger. There's all my little connectors, and that is the plug I'm going to use to connect up to the charger. I've got couple of meters of 2-core cable, but I don't need that much. I just need enough to get from the battery and plug on the end, and that then lives in the car. So when I plug it in, which I'll show you later, I'll show you how it all goes together and how it all works. So I'm going to make up now the loom, get this bit of the loom made up, then put the eyes on it, and then go and fit the loom to the car. So let me quickly make the loom up. I'll fit it to the car and I'll show you the whole setup. Right, this is the charging loom I'm going to put onto the 12-volt battery. So there's always access to charging the battery without taking the car to bits. It's just 2 10mm eyes, one on positive, one on negative, my connector which fits the extension cord, and that just now gets left in the car on a permanent basis. Just makes this job so much easier. Right, I've had the battery on charge whilst I've been making the wiring loom. The charger's putting 13.8 into it at 6 amps, and it's telling me the battery's now full. So I'm going to take the charger off and do one more test with the battery tester before I put my little wiring loom on, so I've got a permanent source of access to the battery for charging it. So let me get the charger off and let's do one more test before we put the loom on and I finalise the installation. Right, you watch the battery charge whilst I put the negative cable on. 13.15. It's remembered the battery from last time, so let's do a test. It's now saying good battery. It's got 78% health, and remaining in that battery is 265 amps of cranking power. But cranking power doesn't matter on a hybrid. All you've got to be able to do is turn a load of relays on. So let me put the loom on now. We've tested the battery before I charged it. We've tested the battery after charging it, and it's come back as a good battery, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to put that loom on now and I'll show you the final installation once the loom's on. Right, I've buttoned the installation up. Positives on, negatives on. There's the two wires. They're zip tied onto the loom and they come round through here, zip tied there. They're under the seat, all safe and sound, and they come up and they go into that plug there. That's the extension cable which I've just run. Chase it into the garage. It's plugged into the charger, and there we go. We are now running at 13.8 volts and there's 0.85 of an amp going into that battery. So whilst that's charging on this charger, even though it's been on the big one, I'm going to leave it on this one. I'm going to button the rest of the car up and put it back together. And that is how you set up your remote charging if you're worried about your 12 volt battery. It's nothing more simple than that. This is just a motorbike maintenance charger where I've made up a lead, put the right plugs on. I've got 10 meters of extension because sometimes the car is over there and I need to get to it when it's on the drive. So the cable runs as it is now through the car, and all I do then, I just shut the door on the lead. That's waterproof, that's waterproof, everything's in the garage, and you can just leave the cable draped. And that's all I do, that's all I do. So, put the covers back on now, and then set everything back up in the car because I've had the battery disconnected. Right, I've finished the installation, put all the trim back in the car. Car's still plugged in, and I've just come back in the garage since putting the trim in, and it's not been very long since I put this charger on. That charger is now doing what they call a maintenance charge. It says up in the top here, maintain. And it's putting 13 volts into the battery. And it's putting 0.22 of an amp into the battery. And it's only putting 0.22 of an amp into the battery because there's a continual drain on a Toyota Yaris hybrid when they're parked up. And that 0.22 of an amp is the drain on the battery. So what this is now going to do is initially charge the battery up, and once it gets the battery fully charged, it will continue to supply 0.22 of an amp at 13 volts to the car. So the car's now not drawing and flattening the battery. This is maintaining the battery at the correct voltage, at the correct amperage that the car's requiring. So you get the gist now. This is a maintenance charger that's designed just to put very small amperage in. And like I said, it's now putting in only what the car is requiring to stay alive outside, keep the systems running whilst the car is turned off and locked. 0.22 of an amp. We proved that in previous videos when we were checking to see what the drain was on the battery. This backs it up. .22 of an amp. And that will just keep that battery now fully charged and the car alive. I could leave that car for months and months and months. I could just leave it. I could go away on holiday for a year, and that will keep that battery in tip-top condition for the entire period if I went on holiday. And the only reason why I'm using this system is it's a system I used to use on motorbikes, where come the back end of October, we'd stick 4 or 5 motorbikes in this garage and we'd have them all on one of them. And I can guarantee, come back end of April or early May when we started putting the bikes back on the road, not one of them bikes would have a flat battery, and every single one of them would have started. So that's about 40 quid, the charger. There's probably another 15 quid's worth of cable, connectors, and all it is then is time to do what I've just done. And that's all it takes. I'm lucky, I've got a drive to park the car on, power points in the workshop, I can just run the lead under the garage door, through the door in the car, lock the car up, leave it alone. I'm really lucky in that respect. So we've had 2 videos in one there. We've had 2 battery tests. A battery test as the car stood idle since it was parked up last night, and then that test is the first one we did with 12.57 volts. Battery wanted charging, which is correct. Fully charged battery is 12.6. Put the big charger on it whilst I was at the workbench making the loom. Put the loom on, connected the little charger up, put the car back together, and that's now doing exactly what a maintenance charger should do, keeping that battery topped up. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please consider liking, please consider subscribing. This is such an easy thing to make yourself. So easy. Thanks for watching. One thing I am doing after putting the loom on the battery is doing a code check, just to make sure I've got no voltage codes in the car. And it looks like I've not generated any faults, which is good. Even though the battery was disconnected for probably half an hour, 45 minutes. Putting it back on, there's no problems. So we're all okay there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.